Before the story begins, I'd like to ask you to subscribe and like. This will help the channel grow. The Letters from Nowhere. Detective Mystery Story. Detective Jonah Blake lived in a quiet coastal town where nothing remarkable ever seemed to happen until the night the first letter arrived. It was delivered to the police station by a mail carrier who swore it had no return address, no postmark, not even a stamp. Just a folded sheet of paper inside a plain envelope. The letter contained a single sentence typed on an old typewriter. "Tomorrow at dawn, a fisherman will not return." At first, Jonah dismissed it as a prank. But the next morning, a local fisherman, Eddie Crow, never came back from his boat. His vessel washed ashore, nets tangled, but Eddie was gone. No footprints on the beach. No signs of a struggle. Just absence. 3 nights later, another letter arrived. This one read, "At midnight, the girl in red will vanish." That night, a waitress named Maya Lopez, known for her bright red jacket, left work after her shift. She never made it home. Jonah's gut told him this was no prank. Someone was sending warnings and following through. Jonah began collecting the letters. By the end of the second week, there were 5 of them. Each predicted a disappearance, each chillingly accurate. But Jonah noticed a strange detail. At the bottom right corner of every letter, faintly pressed into the paper, was an imprint, almost like the roller mark of a typewriter. It wasn't random. It formed part of a symbol. When he overlaid the pages, the fragments created a perfect circle with a cross through it. Jonah's research revealed something chilling. The symbol was associated with a cult that had briefly existed in the town during the 1960s. They called themselves the Watchers, and they believed sacrifices kept their town protected from something lurking offshore. Most people thought it was a myth, but the disappearances and the letters felt like a revival. One night, Jonah staked out the post office, hoping to catch whoever was dropping off the envelopes. At exactly 11:59 p.m., a shadowy figure slipped an envelope through the slot. Jonah sprinted, but by the time he reached the street, it was empty. Only the letter remained. This one had Jonah's name on it. The letter addressed to Jonah read, "You will stand in the graveyard at midnight, and you will not be alone." Jonah debated ignoring it, but something told him the writer wanted him there. That night, he drove to the old cemetery on the hill. Fog blanketed the gravestones. The air was thick with silence. At exactly midnight, Jonah's phone buzzed. An unknown number sent him a single text. "Turn around." He did. Standing among the graves was Maya Lopez, the missing waitress. Her red jacket was torn, her eyes vacant, as if she didn't recognize him. Before Jonah could approach, she stepped backward into the fog and vanished. The next morning, Jonah combed the cemetery with his team. No trace. But in the center of the graveyard, on a stone slab, lay another envelope. Inside, "You see them now. That means you belong." Jonah realized he wasn't just investigating the case anymore. He was being pulled into it. Determined to find answers, Jonah dug into old police files from the 1960s. The Watchers had operated out of a boarding house on the edge of town, the Harper House, abandoned after a fire decades ago. Inside the ruin, Jonah discovered a basement door hidden behind collapsed furniture. Dusty stairs led him into a chamber lined with shelves of decayed journals and ritual objects. On a table in the center lay a rusted typewriter. The keys matched the indentations on the letters. Jonah flipped open one of the journals. It listed names, dozens of them, with dates. All matched the missing persons from both the past and present. And then, in the final pages, written in faded ink, "Detective Jonah Blake, chosen witness." He froze. The book was older than he was. Someone had written his name decades ago. Jonah didn't go home that night. Instead, he followed the pattern. Every disappearance had been tied to a place in town: the docks, the diner, the graveyard. The next letter, he suspected, would guide him to the old hotel kitchen where the fire had started. At midnight, his hunch was confirmed. A letter slid under his motel door. "In the kitchen, the fire will burn again." He rushed to the Harper House ruins. The kitchen was blackened with soot, pots still hanging like ghosts of another era. Suddenly, a flare of heat, flames erupted from nowhere, circling him. In the firelight, he saw them, figures of the missing, flickering like shadows. Eddie Crow, Maya Lopez, dozens of others. They moved silently, pointing toward the corner. There, beneath scorched tiles, Jonah found a locked metal box. Inside was a fresh stack of letters, hundreds, each sealed, each predicting future disappearances. On the very top was one already open. It read, "The detective will not leave this room." Jonah barely escaped the flames, clutching the box of letters. But once outside, the fire vanished as if it had never been there. The Harper House stood silent, untouched. Back at the station, he spread out the letters. They predicted disappearances months into the future, each one with chilling precision. He had proof now, enough to expose whoever was behind this. But when he reached the last envelope, his blood ran cold. It was addressed directly to him. He opened it slowly. The page inside read, "You cannot stop the Watchers. Tomorrow at dawn, Detective Jonah Blake will vanish." The next morning, his squad car was found parked by the cliffs overlooking the sea. The engine still running. The door open. But Jonah Blake was gone. Only one thing remained on the driver's seat: a blank envelope waiting to be opened. End of story.